Hey guys, Robin here, and welcome to another movie review. Now, today, I'm going to be reviewing the 1988 horror zombie buddy cop comedy, Dead Heat. Now, yes, I have two different prints of the film. I have the original print from New World Pictures, which has been cut up quite a bit, as you can see. Yeah. And yeah. So anyways, Dead Heat stars Treat Williams and Joe Piscopo, whom you may know as Danny Verman in the 1984 gangster parody Johnny Dangerously. Now this now Treat Williams' character Roger Mortis, along with Doug Bigelow, Piscopo's character, are investigating a series of armed robberies being committed by people who seem immune to bullets, and 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 they eventually come across a facility containing a very strange machine with some kind of undead biker guy on it. And this biker zombie guy, I shit you not, he had like three noses. And Treat Williams ends up getting, well, and Roger ends up getting shoved into a decompression room that's used to euthanize animals. But but since this machine apparently brings people back to life, he just puts Roger in the machine and he's up and go, no problem. Except for the fact that except for the fact that he only except for the fact that now that he's been resurrected, he only has 12 minutes, he only has 12 hours before he decomposes into a puddle of goo. And uh and they get multiple people assisting them, namely Brandy, played by I think Lindsay Frost, and someone else played by Claire Kirkconnell. As well as the main bad guy being played by the legend himself, Darren McGavin, whom you may also know as Kolchak from the two Night Stalker TV movies and the TV show that came later. Also with Vincent Price in a minor role in what would be one of his final movie roles before he passed away. And so Roger and Doug are basically dealing with a ticking clock scenario where they have to find out who's behind this and put a stop to it before Roger melts into goo. And this movie is just completely bonkers because, well, in addition to dead people being brought back to life in order to be used as basically pawns to rob banks, this movie does not. Oh God! In fact, like easily, you ask someone about Dead Heat, they'll mention the scene in the Chinese restaurant, well, the Chinese deli rather, where they where they find a possible lead into the zombie robbers, who is a an elderly Chinese man who leaves, but not before turning on an identical resurrecting machine in the ceiling of his deli, which results in all of the cooked animals in the deli, like chickens, like cooked and roasted chickens, ducks' heads, a liver, and a giant skinless cooked. Well, I'm not sure what it was. It was shaped like a yak, but it kind of behaved like a buffalo, doing the whole yeah, doing the whole like thing that a buffalo does, like kind of dragging its hoof along the ground before it charges. And yeah, this movie gets really crazy really fast, and it does not leave. Now, God, okay, and yeah, and there is like one scene where Roger like fully realizes, oh, like he only has like 6 hours left, and he kind of freaks out, but Doug is able to calm him down. And since Doug is now undead like the robbers, he's able to take a large amount of damage. He's able to get shot multiple times. He's also able to remain underwater for a long period of time. And while at Brandy's house, two zombies come in and attack. And Tweet basically shoves one into a small pool, and then grabs a stereo and throws it into the water, frying the zombie. And from this point, I'll be going on, and before I go into spoilers, if you don't want this movie spoiled, stop the video right here and go watch it. But if you haven't seen it, or you don't really care if I spoil you or not, so Brandy ends up telling him the story about how Vincent Price's character saved her. She was there for drugs. And then while they're waiting for Doug to come back from something, they, she finds Brandy alone in the bathroom, and she admits to Roger that she lied. She was dead, and she was brought back using the resurrecting machine, but was promised that they would keep her alive. Turns out they lied because she quickly begins to decompose, starting at her hand. And then she like stands up and is like apologizing to Roger as she's rotting. One of her arms like falls off at the elbow, then her body falls over and her head rolls off and quickly becomes a skull. Like while she's like apologizing, despite the fact that her head is severed from her neck, which is where vocal cords are. But again, this is not the kind of movie that's meant to be taken seriously. And so it also turns out that good old Darren McGavin was behind the whole thing. Doug and his other girlfriend are also dead. So he chains Roger, so he cuffs Roger to the inside of an ambulance. and basically leaves Roger there to rot. But by degloving his hand, Roger is able to disable the van's parking brake, causing it to roll down a hill and crash in a spectacular fashion. And he's able to storm the facility where all this is happening, which, by the way, the building used, the building that's meant to be the facility, it's the same exact building from Biodome. Like, yeah, if you watch Dead Heat and Biodome, you'll see they both use the same building. Now, anyway, now there's like a really funny scene where Roger and another zombie guy are like just shooting each other with Uzis for like 30 seconds. Like seriously, like they're both unloading into each other, and neither one of them is going down for like almost 30 seconds. It's really funny. And now since Doug was killed, but he was brought back, and and uh and he, but since he's been dead for so long that he basically almost acts on McNabb's orders. McNabb is McGavin's character to kill Roger, but Roger's able to bring him back by like, come on, Doug, don't you remember we did that thing, and then we did this thing and that thing, and basically that kind of stuff snaps Doug out of it. They both like get close to McNabb, but McNabb shoots himself, so they just bring him back to life, and they use the machine again, which makes him explode. And yeah, basically this is like one of the best films. Basically, like this is one of like the better films you'll get out of Roger Corman. Like it's basically R.I.P.D. meets Lethal Weapon. And speaking of Lethal Weapon, there actually is a bit of a connection with this because because this movie was written by Terry Black, who who not only is Shane Black's brother, but Shane Black himself has a cameo as the cop whom Roger gets a gun from after the ambulance crash. And by the way, this movie's effects, like for a film executive produced by Roger Corman, since it was made by New World Pictures. Now, this movie didn't have much of a budget, but its effects are really good. Like all the makeup effects as Roger gets more and more closer to decomposing, as well as the effects for when Brandy just completely rots, which in of itself is a nightmarish scene, but yeah, this is a really good movie. And in fact, as of the time I am recording this video, Dead Heat it is available to watch on Amazon Prime, and I highly recommend you give this film a watch. And even if you don't like it, it's it's only 86 minutes long, so an hour 26 minutes, not really a lot of time. So yeah, watch Dead Heat. It's a very silly as frick. It's a very funny movie. And literally every single one of Joe Piscopo's lines like is a one-liner. Like, yeah. I have to say a couple of my favorites are when they first get to the place, they keep trying to get the attention of the guy there who's too busy reading an adult magazine. And Piscopo's like, sorry to interrupt your erection, pal. I would dispute some management. Yeah. Yeah, basically if you so I recommend this movie, yeah, a lot. So yeah, and yeah, um, I mean, like just because of his cast, I mean, you have Darren McGavin, you have the legendary Darren McGavin, you got Joe Piscopo, and you have Vincent Price, and two very attractive women in the film, and yeah, so yeah, if so yeah, watch this movie. It's on Amazon Prime at the moment. So if you already have an Amazon Prime membership, give it a watch, and yeah, and that's all I have to say. So yep. But since this is the month of October, you can expect. Stay tuned for reviews of the Monster Squad and from 2007, director of Godzilla King of the Monsters, Trick or Treat. Stay tuned for these two, and I will see you all soon in the near future. Peace.